you're up.
Hey. Are we live? You can't see that up there. Live in 1 second? We are. Okay, good evening, everybody. It is July 24th, and we will call the Goodhue Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Okay, roll call, everybody's here, I see. Okay, and the minutes, they were not available at this time. There was just a little bit of confusion, so they'll be coming next time. So, okay.
Exactly. Yep.
So, and if you want to review and adopt or amend the agenda.
We should just adopt the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Good evening, Mr. Kiefer.
Alrighty. Great. Good to see everybody. And informational report. Just wanted to share some things with you. And first of all is the Goodhue pickleball courts. We had 2 quotes come in. C&C courts was the lowest quote. I also believe they're the best quote simply because that is their main focus, is pickleball courts. So, and the courts are going to be, we'll put them into 4 courts, but we're going to have fencing that'll block off the ends of them so the balls aren't always going into their games. And we couldn't put more than 4 because of the pitch that's in the middle, which the pitch is good, runs the water off and everything. But we didn't want to put a court right in the middle of it where it's lower on either side. So that should work out well though, because you're going to have a bigger area in between the 2 courts. So it probably won't bother games going on as much. But yeah, I feel really good about the company that we have there. And then that will be another item later on in the
regular agenda.
In the regular agenda, council.
That we'll vote on.
Yep. Cranston Park update. Jason and I went down there. We counted 18 trees. 18 of them that are dead down there, the ash trees. So keep checking the DNR. I was told it's going to be coming out again this year. I've also contacted a few area towns. What they've done is they've sent me what they submitted, because sometimes a lot of these grants, it's how you word it. It's everything that's included. It's more than just the need. So I've got like three other cities, what they turned in that were approved. So that'll give us something to go from. But and Jason has told me he'll do whatever he needs to do, because I think part of it is you have to go out and you're measuring the circumference of the trees, and that's what you use to create a cost for removing the trees. So it's going to be kind of some detailed work, but it'll be well worth it. We're also still looking for any possible grants that could come along for doing the picnic shelter and playground equipment. SMIF is Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, and they have a couple of grants coming out in August. And so I took a look at one, and I think one would apply for what we would want to have done. And so I'm ready. Once that baby opens up, we're going to get it filled out and going to go after it. The other idea was tonight, I'm just bringing kind of as an official introduction about looking at the makeup of the EDA board in Goodhue. And I know currently you've been using it as just being the city council. So, but the EDA reports to the city council, and you guys have a lot of other things that you're dealing with in the city, a lot of responsibilities. And so when I looked into this, usually what it is there's 2 city council members on it, rotate every year, the city administrator, and then 3 residents who live within the city limits. But there's a lot more discussion to be had on that. So we'll do that at the working session in August. Any questions on that?
EDA President?
Yes.
Hi, Bob is here. Nice to see the board. I feel like I've seen you guys forever. Sorry. And nice to meet our EDA new staff person, at least visually, sort of. So we can't really see each other, but here I am. Anyway, I like that discussion. It's not my place to say that. It's a policy issue, obviously. But it's exactly right to say that there are many EDAs that have a mix of council participation, public participation, and then some staff participation. So just to the extent it matters to you, I think that'll be a good discussion for you to have with your EDA.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. And the last thing I have here was, and this will be something that we'll talk about at the working session also, but just let you know that we did do some background checking on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and that was work that Kaylin had started previous to her going to a different position. So I just want you to know that we will have information for you for the working session in August, and we can have a discussion about how we create a Park and Recreation Commission. And I believe, Bob, you've got some insight on that for us too as well that we can share in August.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thanks. Yep.
Okay. And then Mike, the days next in August I'll be here are August 14th and the 28th. And I guess I was just going to also remind you too is tomorrow we're going to be meeting with someone from Website Services, a company, and looking at how the website can be improved to make things more efficient for the city, but also allow you to continue to expand with whatever needs you feel arise down the road. Because right now you're landlocked right now.
Right.
So we'll have information on that in August as well.
Yeah, we, as in Todd and I, are going to Rochester to meet with this individual. Then we also have 2 other quotes with some ideas with that. So we're going to try to gather as much information and try to really get that website redesigned, up, running, so it will support all the data. So we can upload everything into it, so it's very user-friendly. So once we get that meeting and we'll put them all together, we'll report that.
And I think it'll be important too that then the website can be everybody's source in the community to go find their answers instead of going here or there or somewhere else's Facebook page. If it's city related, you know where you go to find it. And I think it'll really help too that you'll be able to add like celebrations within the community. You'll be able to show the real personalities of Goodhue. Like when you guys have your special days and everything, you'll be able to get that across to people who look at it, who are looking to see where are we going to move to. It can only help. It can only help. So, yeah.
Hey, anything else?
No.
What was that? You said Smith, Southern Minnesota.
Yeah, Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. It's actually, if you remember, Tim Penny was a politician years ago. When he got out of politics, he went into what's the word I'm looking for? Nonprofit.
Yep.
Went to nonprofit. So they are securing funds from all over the place. And that's what gives us the opportunities for small towns. Most of their grants and loan opportunities are for towns smaller than 10,000 people. So it's, yeah, you can look it up online. It's pretty impressive, all the...
I was gonna say there's
Yeah.
a better gig than being a politician.
Yeah. They have a lot of opportunities for small cities, so as long as we can get in there and really start to grab some of those, and so constantly watching for a grant that is appropriate, and so certainly there's one coming up in August that we looked at, and it looks very promising for Goodhue to secure monies. So, okay.
Wonderful.
Good. Anything else?
I don't think think so.
So, Todd's days are Wednesday, August 14th on the work meeting and August 28th on the regular council meeting. They'll be here. So,
Yeah.
could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the EDA meeting.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried to close the economic development.
Alrighty. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we will call the regular council meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Number 3, approve or amend the agenda. As you well know, the mayor always has amendments. So, because we have a lot going on. So I would like to add on the bottom, the SEMCHA, SEMMCHA grant. So we need to talk about that. It's also, we kind of know it as DEED. So SEMCHA and DEED. We also have on there a request for the Lions Club to have a raffle and a paddle wheel. So I have a resolution in there for that. I also need to add Nuvera to the agenda under other. And then last but not least, a motion to accept the quote for the pickleball courts that was presented. Because that needs to come to the regular council meeting. That's not an EDA because we're going to use some COVID funds and other funds for that. So Todd's been researching it and helping gather all the data, but it's not actually an EDA. So that's why we have to move it to that. Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add under other? No? Okay, so could I get a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended
Okay,
agenda. I'll second.
all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have the May 8th and the May 22nd council meeting minutes. Pretty straightforward. I had, Lori and I had gone over them previously.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 8th and May 22nd.
Did I get a second?
Well, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is, is the Goodhue Living tax abatement. So I made reference to it at our last work meeting. So we were looking at it, and Libby Kantner has been helping. We went over everything. We've worked with Northland Securities on it, and everything looked good. Then we said we have the document signed, and we asked Northland Securities to run another numbers since it was in 2021, which they did. So if you look at Exhibit A, on the very first tax abatement project that was initiated back in 2021, the amount that the tax abatement, available tax abatement, would be $795,781 over the course of 11 years. If you flip that over on Exhibit B, When the valuation of the property came back in, it was somewhat inflated on the previous numbers by approximately $7 million. So the actual 11-year tax abatement comes to $163,355. Now, with that being said, Libby and I met with 2 board members on Monday. We let them know what has happened. They fully understand the numbers. Numbers don't lie, okay? So they agreed to this. But if you look in the back of your letter, there was discussion about, this is an 11-year, and although it had some glitches and it started later, Tammy from Northland Security said it would not be unreasonable to look at extending that to 15 years. They still would not reach that 700 and some thousand, 792,000, but it would help to stretch that out. Now, the reason we chose 15 years, on the back of your letter, you'll see 20 years, then it has to go before the school district and the county, and they have to relinquish their tax portion, which it's very unlikely that they're both going to agree to that. Now, the board on Monday said, we're not interested in doing that. We don't want to take money away from the school district because of the 64 new mandates that have come down the pipe over the last couple of years with the schools. So they weren't interested in that. But they were interested, they were in agreement that 15 years would be reasonable. They're still, now keep in mind, they're still not going to come close to the 795,000, but it would help stretch that out for them. And we know that this is a worthy project within the community. We want it to succeed. It would seem futile for us to try to work this project as a tax abatement and not help them with that.
So,
Thoughts?
so what happened, taxable market value? You said it was originally like 9 million?
Yep.
And now it's 2.4? Where did $6.5 million go?
We didn't go anywhere. I think that was the projected of
Okay.
what they thought it was gonna come in as, but I think,
Projections.
yeah, and so projecting and finished product are 2 different things. Now, the value is, they do look at that and go, well, you know, could increase by 1% every year. They look at that. So it was a little surprising to them as well.
Okay.
So,
And that's, you know, it'd be one thing if it was like, you know, 6 figures here and there, but I mean, this is like.
$7 million.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's even what Tammy said, and that's what Libby said. We kind of talked about that and said that was a big disparity. Now, whether or not that changed a little bit, remember in the middle of the process, they had to find a new investor. You were on, Jason, you were on at that time, you know, and that things had to be switched around. So that may have had something to do with it. So they certainly understood that. So if we were to move forward with the 15-year tax abatement, and that only extends it out 4 more years. It's not like another 10, okay? We would have to have a public hearing to just change that. We don't have to change anything else. The contract stands, it's just moving that to 15 years, and it can still be filed by the September 1st deadline. But we have to have a hearing on that, okay? And then there would just have to be a motion this evening to extend the tax abatement out to 15 years rather than the 11.
So instead of going 163 for 11, you would go 239 for 15, right?
Yeah, around that, depending on inflation and what we're looking at. So it's even still, you know, even at 20 years, up to, so we certainly want to work with the community to find that this is a great project for our community.
It's definitely better than 795, so I mean, it's.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay? So, Mr. Vols?
Yes.
Yes. Can we then do the public hearing like before our next work meeting? Because it has to be 10 days, it has to be posted for 10 days. So if we got it out like right away, that would give us the 10 days, and then we can do that public hearing at the beginning of our work meeting. And as our public hearings, the last two, nobody showed up. We open it, public comment, nothing. Probably would be the same with this. Is
Yeah,
that,
Mayor, Council, so you, Mayor, having talked to Libby, my colleague Libby, that's smart about this stuff, would know what the posting and notice requirements are for the hearing.
Yep.
So assuming you have time to do those posting and notice requirements for the hearing, there's nothing about the fact that you're having a work session, not a regular meeting, that would prevent you from having the hearing on that. You could have the hearing.
okay,
Assuming you get the notice out in time, you could have the hearing for the prior meeting prior to your next meeting, which is a work session, regular meeting at that time.
okay,
Yes, you can do that.
yeah. We'll just we'll look at the numbers and the time frame and make sure that we get that done, so, okay?
Makes sense.
So with that being said, then we need to make a motion on that, unless are there any other discussion, information that people need on that? Everybody okay? Questions? Chris? You good?
I think if we can do something positive,
Absolutely.
that's good.
And this is very positive, I think. This is a good thing. Okay? So if I could, if someone wants to make the motion to extend to 15 years, that's,
I'll make a motion to extend the tax levy to 15 years from the current 11.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, that'll be a good thing for the community. Okay, next on is zoning policy and enforcement. So this was one of the things that we talked about at the work meeting, and I had a discussion with the city attorney and asking, how do we enforce this? Can we, assign fines? And through the conversation, Bob enlightened me, and so we had a good conversation. So he's going to share that with us tonight. So on what we can and we cannot do. Okay? You're on.
Now it's time, okay, great, Mayor Council. So the impetus, the interest that the city has in doing that, in having sort of a city-run administrative fining. I say administrative because you presumably would impose these fines without having to go to court. The impetus for that is super understandable and sensible, and something that a number of cities around the state have done. And it's all sensible and efficient because, of course, trying to get relatively, I think we're talking about property use violations, having too many cars in your driveway or in your front yard, or not mowing the lawn, or having junk in the backyard, or et cetera, those kind of property nuisance type issues. Congesting the court system with legal cases over those things is a bad idea, frankly. It's not, the courts don't want it, they don't have the time for it, and so it's not a great approach. So, but the that you're talking about is that, for better or worse, the state auditor office and the attorney general both have independently issued opinions that say statutory cities course, there are sort of two basic kinds of cities in Minnesota: charter cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, St. Cloud, Rochester. Relatively speaking, large cities that have their own constitution, which is called a charter. That's one kind of city. The vast majority of the 820 plus cities in Minnesota are statutory cities, that is, cities that only have the power given to them by state law, by statutes. Those kind of cities, the opinions say, don't have the authority, don't have the power to set up fining regimes on their own. That's confusing or unusual to hear, I think, for a lot of city officials and maybe residents of cities, because the fact of the matter is when someone gets cited for a petty misdemeanor, a parking violation, or a speeding ticket, whatever have you, those end up just being finable offenses, right? Those are things where you get cited by the traffic cop or by the parking meter person, you pay the fine and it's done. That system, though, isn't a city-imposed system. That's a state-imposed system. That's state law actually creates the system for those kinds of fines, and there's specific authority for those kinds of fines. Fines for nuisance violations aren't authorized. There's no law that says cities can fine residents for nuisance conditions, too many cars in the front yard or lots that aren't mowed. And so it's a really long lawyer way of saying there really isn't a way that cities can create fining systems for the kind of violations we're talking about. You can cite residents for doing those things, for failing to keep their yards in the appropriate condition or other zoning violations. And then you can have your county attorney prosecute, and I gotta do the air quotes for prosecute, because obviously these are small offenses where you would just through the court system pay a fine. But you have to use the county attorney, you have to actually cite them, and you have to actually have part of that fine paid into the county court system. So again, long-winded, but there just isn't a way for a city to not involve the county attorney and the court system and just collect fines for these kind of violations. You have to actually cite people, issue a citation, issue a written document to people saying they violated some city ordinance, and then actually pass it along to the county attorney's office, who will in every case almost just say pay the fine that you would be subject to under the court system and accept that, but it's not a city-run system. So, sorry to blather on about this. It's something that's near and dear to me because all of my clients, all the 9 cities I work with, frankly, all 45 cities that my firm works with, think that's a bad answer. Don't think, it'd be much easier if we just didn't have to deal with all that rigmarole. We could just find people directly ourselves, but there just is not a mechanism for doing that.
Right.
So, I'm not sure what folks were thinking about, but that's kind of the bottom line.
So
That makes sense.
as we moved into that and we thought, well, we might do first offense, second offense, third offense, that is not an option. But we can still take pictures
Make them aware.
and submit the ordinance that they're in violation of and put a time frame on a correction. And for the most case, most people will abide by that. And then if it gets to be the habitual ones, for lack of a better word, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bose, then we make the decision, this is enough. I guess we're gonna have to go.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm sorry, that's good, I talked about that, and that you kind of almost wanted me to emphasize that, and I didn't say a word about it. That's right, so given everything I said about how inconvenient it is for cities to go through this state or county attorney-run citation prosecution process, given that difficulty, the vast majority of cities that we work with, probably the vast majority of cities in the state, try very hard, and I think your city would do the same, just as a matter of sort of the way you deal with your own folks. You try very hard to let them know, look, we're trying to keep the city looking good, we're trying to keep zoning in order, we're sending you a letter saying clean it up, we don't want to have to issue a citation, we don't want to do any of this stuff. to you, with
Right.
with the county attorney. We don't want to go down that road at all.
That's
It would be very difficult for a city to do that probably a couple of times before you actually issue a citation. You want people to know they're doing something wrong. You want to give them an opportunity to fix it. You probably want to remind them a time or two after you've told them that you really are serious about it, before you go down the road of, citation, county attorney, the whole thing. Nobody wants to be there. It's not efficient for you. It's not good for the landowner. So, anyway, what you just said, Mary, is exactly right. And sort of having a system for doing that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Is that understandable to everybody?
I have a question. Now, a citation would be from a police officer?
From the county.
From the county. Okay.
Right. And then they would issue that, and then then the judge would have to decide the fine. They decide the fine, not us. So, yeah, but those would be.
As a super hyper technical, because I appreciate the question, and obviously, as I've said, I'm kind of into this subject a bit because it comes up so much. Just as a hyper technical answer, there are certain kinds of citations that the county sheriff's department, or if you had a police department still, your police officers would typically issue. There are also citations like not mowing your lawn that oftentimes a city staff person would be directed to issue, bring the citation out to that person. But at the end of the day, in every case, a county sheriff's deputy can issue a citation. So, typically what happens is the staff person says, I don't really want to go out there and deal with Mr. Johnson. That could be a problem. I'd rather have a deputy do it, and the deputy's office will always do that. So at the end of the day, you can always have one of the sheriff's deputies do the actual bringing of the citation to the landowner. But theoretically, other people could could issue the citation and deliver it if the city wanted to do that. So hyper technical, but that's the answer to that question.
Okay. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll move forward on the letters. We talked about taking the pictures, sending them a letter, citing the violation and which ordinance, and then giving them corrective action, and then go from there. And we'll still include that it will be, it needs to be corrected, and it will afford people. So sometimes that's enough for most people to go, well, I guess I don't want that, I better correct it. So we'll keep moving forward on that. Okay? All right, thank you. Under new business. All right, well, welcome Lisa Retta Penning. So we are here, we discussed this at our work meeting. And for those of you who may not have met Lisa or know of her yet, she is willing to step in as our interim city administrator. So we discussed this at our last meeting, so we just need to make it official this evening to hire her, and she is ready to start on Monday, July 29th.
Good.
Thank you.
We've been in need of for a while.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to hire her for the interim city administrator position.
Okay.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome aboard. Okay. I will, as I said before, Lisa and I have been communicating on a regular basis. I will continue to do that as much as she needs me. She's a very bright individual, so she might say, go away, Terry.
That's your hope.
That's my hope. That is exactly my hope. Exactly. So, but I will continue so we can get things really moving. I am excited about this. I think this is going to take us into a whole different direction and be so much more. The processes and checks and balances that we're going to put in place are going to be incredible. So this is a new, exciting adventure. Yes.
I have one question. It says we're hiring her, but was there a timeline on that?
Well, interim until like the end of the year, we kind of said interim till the end of the year, kind of watching that.
Oh,
And
okay.
then, trying to decide, we want to see if she's worthy.
Worthy.
Good. And so then we'll look at that and either, and I've discussed this with Mr. Vos, we can either at that time, we can make the motion to make it full-time permanent, or if we feel that we should at least open it up, okay, and get other applicants and then hire. So we have different options that we can look at. So, and Lisa, I've had that conversation with her. She is open. She was agreeable to that. So we'll be just kind of looking at that.
Does she have a chair to sit on?
She has a chair, but she doesn't have a desk, but we're working on it.
Okay.
So she has a key to the door.
Hold up on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Use the chair as a desk.
It'll be great. Great.
Cheer.
Okay. So, this is, so, Mr. Bowles, can you see Lisa? So, she will be.
I try really hard to get to the right screen. This is beyond my technical capabilities, of course. I've proven my limitations there, but yes, hi Lisa.
Okay, so,
Well, I think we should have a time to have an in-person meeting at some point, so, but yeah.
that sounds good.
Maybe everybody should just introduce themselves.
Yeah, has everybody?
I'm Chris.
Hello.
Yep, Jason too.
Yeah, I know. Terry Anderson,
Show Brenda.
your nemesis.
Patrice O'Reilly.
Okay, and you've met Todd. Okay, and Jason is on vacation this week, so, all right. Yeah. So at some point, we'll kind of initiate and get you out and about and introduce you to people as needed, so we'll go from there. So we'll work on getting you settled in. All right, thank you.
She's got a good group of fellow city administrators and stuff to get
Yes,
into.
she does.
Right?
Yes, Elizabeth and Brian and Michael, because you will be sitting on the sanitary district.
Oh, you did not say anything.
Sorry. Well, you.
Whoops.
Yep. Well, surprise.
Trickery.
Okay. Okay.
One of many.
Okay. Yeah. Money. Okay. But so you'll get to know them and be able to work with them. But they're more than willing to step in and answer any questions that you may have along the way. And Zimbrota has always been very, very helpful with any kind of questions. So a really good group of small city administrators who are there. Okay. All right. So the next on the agenda is the motion to approve the facilities use agreement. We had this at the work meeting, and you were given it to look it over, so it's pretty straightforward. Mr. Vos had put this together, and this is agreement that when anybody uses any one of our facilities, we should have an agreement with them. Even, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're not charging them for that space, correct? Yes, he's nodding.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mayor and Council, I mean, just the guts of this document just deals with the fact that we're allowing a city facility to be used for a at least traditional public use, right? We've got a different group or entity or person that's going to use the facility for their own purposes. We just want to make sure that when that happens, they protect us, they indemnify us for anything that happens. We're obviously not the ones running things at that point, so we just want to protect it in the event something happens or somebody gets hurt or whatever. So yes, the answer is yes, whether we charge rent or not, we should have an agreement. This is a very, very simple little agreement. So we should have this agreement with anybody that's going to use city facilities.
Okay, good. So could I get a motion to approve the facilities use agreement?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So I have to go now.
You have to go now. Okay. Thanks for stopping.
I got a meeting.
Joe's going to the ambulance board meeting.
Bye, Joe.
Somebody's gotta go.
Yep. Thank you, Joe.
Okay,
Okay. Yes?
Maybe I'm out of order here. I just have a question on the insurance.
Future.
Yeah, number 6.
Oh, on the facilities
The
use?
facilities, yeah.
Okay.
User must provide commercial general liability insurance covering use of the city property in the minimum amount of $1,500,000 per occurrence. Do normal people, I'm just thinking of people who rent the park, you know, for picnics and stuff.
Can you explain that, Bob?
I can, but can you repeat the question?
Okay, under the insurance part of it, that they're supposed to have a minimum amount of $1,500,000 per occurrence. The people that are using the city property, is that correct? Is that what that says? The user must
That is what
provide.
it says, and the reason for that, that's a fairly standard city requirement that obviously can be waived depending on who the user is going to be. If somebody can't do it and you want to let them use it anyway, you could waive that. But the reason for that is the statutory maximum that the city can be liable for. There is what's called a tort liability cap for cities under state law. And that's the maximum amount the city could be liable for if somebody got hurt or killed on a city facility. And, you know, you can imagine that if somebody was using the city facility, even though the city wasn't the operator of that use, wasn't the party that, you know, somebody else used the city, whatever building, if somebody gets hurt badly, they're going to sue the city. The city wants to make sure that the party actually using the facility has enough insurance to cover the city's liability. So that's the reason for the $1,500,000 insurance requirement.
So like somebody renting out the pavilion for a birthday party, we wouldn't necessarily make sure that they had 1.5 million in insurance for a birthday party. I think that's what
Yeah,
Patrice
that's
is
what I
saying,
mean.
right?
Yeah.
Right,
We would just essentially
Yeah.
waive that.
for a swimming
Yeah,
pool
I mean,
party.
I think that for that, it's a great example. I think for an example like that, you would just say, look, as a matter of policy, we want city facilities to be available for kids' birthday parties. We understand that residents in town can't go get $1.5 million insurance just to have a birthday party. So we're just going to waive that requirement for, you know, small things like that. And we're going to let them use it, have a simple agreement, but just strike out that provision and not make them do that. That's just fine.
But if it was like a business like Acme Plumbing decided to come down here and use it, then obviously they would probably utilize their company insurance policy. Is that accurate?
You have it exactly right. Yeah, I mean, you know, if somebody's going to have a full, I mean, this is the gray area, maybe a good example would be many cities use city common areas in city halls or in other city facilities and allow weddings to occur. You know, if you're going to have a wedding with 100 people and there's going to be alcohol served and, you know, that may be a situation where you say, look, we understand you're a resident, you want to use this for your daughter's wedding, but you can have a whole lot of people there and there's drinking and there's, you know, we're going to make you have to get the insurance. So, but you're exactly right. I mean, business uses of city property, you'd expect them to have insurance already. Frankly, any business insurance is going to be at least $1.5 million already. So yes, I agree with your example. There is a gray area though, where an individual person, not a business, is going to have a big event that you may still want them to have that insurance.
But it doesn't say that in here. I mean,
Who makes that determination?
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that as it's set up now, the council, these agreements have to come to the council, and you may have your administrator come in and say, we've presented our form of agreement. These folks want to use this facility on Saturday night. They don't want to get the insurance. What do you want to do, council? And in that case, you could vote to approve the agreement, but strike out the insurance. You could also, I mean, you know, if you have enough use where you're having these agreements often enough, you can delegate that to the administrator, right? I mean, you can have the administrator decide whether or not the insurance should be required. I mean, obviously, somebody has to make that judgment, and it'd be fine for you to delegate that to the administrator. It's just, we haven't done that. So for now, it's up to the city council whether you want to require that or not.
Okay, so we can just strike that.
So I think that should be
Cross
something
it
we
off.
bring up at the work meeting, is that,
Yes.
you know, how we want to delegate that. You know, if it's,
Right.
like Bob said, the standard way and then the gray area.
Yeah, because we certainly don't want every picnic
No,
pavilion coming
nobody-
before the
nobody's
council,
gonna-
so the city
Yeah,
administrator.
the timing might not be when you guys are doing it.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Okay, does that answer your question, Patrice? We're good? Okay,
Yep.
we'll talk about that again. So, okay, next on the list is the organizational chart. So, you've seen this. It has been a long time coming. Every city has an organizational chart. Every organization has an organizational chart. If they don't, they should. And hopefully now we do. I mean, we need to have this laid out so everybody understands who's accountable to who. And so this certainly lays it out on the bottom. It gives a revised date on it. Because we did take out the EDA board, because we don't need that as of yet, but as soon as that is there, and then also if we add that Parks and Rec Commission, that also would be added in there. So it's a working document, but we have to have something so people know who's accountable to who. Okay? So here it is.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised City of Goodhue organizational chart.
Did I get a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next, we have been approached by Habitat for Humanity. So, as you may or may not know, there is a piece of property up on Park Street, Park Avenue, that is a vacant lot where a previous home was taken down. Now, unbeknownst to some of us, there was a single family home there that was taken down, but previously it was 2 parcels, then it was combined. So Habitat for Humanity is asking to split that lot back into 2 parcels, and they would like to put 2 homes in there, 2 Habitat homes. One of the homes would be built, they're building one, it is a new program at the Goodhue School, and they are working with Habitat for Humanity to build a home, a construction program, and they would like to then, if we can get this figured out, they could start and build it on that, one of the lots.
So is this the same program that they did in Cannon? Across from the school, I think?
I'm not familiar with
Okay.
that one,
The
but
kids, the Goodhue, or the Cannon kids.
Cannon kids.
built-
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Some road it has it too.
So,
Well, is that Habitat for Humanity or was that a home built?
I think it was
It was
built
home built.
by the school,
yeah, that was it.
perched, yeah.
Yeah, that's a construction program where they build a spec house. This is now they're working with Habitat for Humanity. So they have an instructor who's going to come in and work with the kids on that. Now, Bob has looked at this, Jason has looked at it, and it meets the stipulations and the guidelines of the zoning, and it falls within the guidelines of splitting the property, because each lot has to be, at least 50 feet wide,
And these are, yeah.
and it
50 by
is.
2, 50 by 1.
okay? So when I went up and looked at the property, this is the only concern that I saw, and I really want people to be looking at this. There is no driveway for this property from the street. It is accessed by the alley, and the alley only goes up to the very first end of that. So that alley would have to be extended to meet both properties. Okay, so then the alley has to be made bigger. There's also only utilities to one of the lots. Then there has to be utilities put in to the other lot. Okay, So those are all things that we should be looking at as a council, just kind of the logistics of it. So they had Schofield, Johnson and Schofield come out, Habitat for Humanity did, and had them look and survey the lot. And they produced this document. This is a very recent new document.
Okay.
So this is new.
Who owns the land on the alley that we'd have to extend it? The people that are living up there, do they own that?
I'm not 100% sure, and unfortunately Jason is not here. But when I went up and looked down that alley, I'm not sure how far that road is going to extend into people's private property. So that's an issue that we're gonna maybe have to look at. Then the other thing is there room for a garage? There will be no attached garage to this. So are we looking at putting in a garage if they eventually want to do that? So,
That's the Park Avenue, right?
correct, up by the water tower.
Oh, okay, I see, so.
Yep.
So he's.
Yeah.
So here's one right
next to the water tower, that's.
Yep.
That's the slot right here.
Yep. So this must be that alley they're talking about right in here?
Yep.
So it would be, okay. So, cause yeah, you couldn't put a driveway up here because that's
No.
hill, right?
That's a, yeah, straight up.
Okay.
Has anybody talked to any of the people that live around this to see what?
No, none of that is, and so there's certainly no action. You know, I wanted to make sure when I talked to, Mr. Hawley, and I had a conversation with Mr. Hawley and Mr. Chuck Richardson, his attorney for Habitat for Humanity. I said, please get us some information so I can present it to the council, so then they can take that information and what each and every one of us needs to do. You need to go look at that property. You need to check it out. This is kind of a whole different thing that we've had to do before. We've never done this. So looking at it and how we want to approach it, and then at the next meeting, at our work meeting, then I really think we need to sit down and talk about this. Now, Mr. Hawley did say, he said, well, we would contact all of the neighbors, okay? So, and talk to them about that as well. Okay?
Yeah, and that alley, when it comes up from the street, that's not it's not a real good driveway.
Yeah, that comes behind Derek Weckerland.
Yep.
It's in very poor shape.
Yeah,
It is not one. A lot of people, you know, they park on the street, but also keep in mind that if you go up there, that street is narrow. So they're not gonna be able to pull up on their yard when it's winter. There's gotta be some way and where. But that one house, there's two houses that will be right behind those. I'm not sure where the lines are and where that alley would go, so we need to look into that.
Yeah, that's pretty narrow, it's tight up through
Yeah.
there. I know, I've been up there
So-
a lot, so, you know.
Yeah. So if we can maybe look at that and then we'll really discuss this further, because there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. We cannot make a decision based on just this. But I mean, the zoning, they can legally split the property, correct, Bob? Because it meets the zoning. There he is. Is he, Bob?
I'm here, yeah, I can't push my button here to turn my video on. Yeah, so you've got your new, zoning and subdivision ordinance.
Yep.
That allows the council to approve this. And, there are requirements, for doing that, but yeah, I mean, if it meets everything, yeah, there's no basis to say no. If it meets everything, I would say though, Mayor, as you pointed out, and I think you pointed out to me, you do have a requirement that a new lot have road frontage, have access. So if the lot doesn't have a driveway off the street, and doesn't have a curb cut off the alley, or doesn't have an alley behind, I'm not sure how that's going to be complied with, so I think that issue will have to be addressed. address. So,
Right.
but yeah, you've got a mechanism now for approving the subdivisions in your code, in your ordinance.
Okay. So, good. So please continue to look at that. If you get a chance, really go up there and walk the property, look at it and see, because I was like, and there's a utility pole right in the middle of it, and maybe where the alley would, the extension would go. So it does create a little bit of a, and there's quite a grove of trees that are gonna have to be taken out too, if I'm looking correctly. So we are gonna, please take a field trip and look at it.
Last
Okay.
time I was up there was when the house and everything was on the property, so all of them.
Right. Okay, so we'll add that to the agenda.
Would they be a no for business one? Habitat?
Yes, they did say that it wasn't feasible. That was my understanding, if they can't split it. But we can't say yes just because of that. It has to make sense for the neighbors and the alley, because, if they have to get in there, fire trucks from the back,
Yeah.
we have to really look at that. It's tight.
And that's another thing, like, that's an alleyway, so if they can't park up front and they had to park in the back, would that be the city's responsibility to clear that alleyway
Well,
with snow?
it's a city alley,
You
yes.
know, because do they clear it now?
That's a great question. I don't know, Chris.
I haven't,
We'll have to talk to Jason and ask him about that.
Only must.
Okay. I know it's not used much and utilized in the winter. A lot of them, they park on the street. I think maybe the only one that does use it is Derek. Ask him,
Yeah.
because he's right on that
Because
corner.
Holmes is used to, and they lived there many years ago.
Yeah, but they're not there
I
anymore.
have no idea who lives there, Interesting.
Okay, good. So just always passing along the information, so, okay. All right, next on the agenda, so I printed out the email from Mr. Haneke from the Sheriff's Department. So this is the email that he sent and the rates. So, I kind of gave them to you. We haven't gotten an official contract yet. So these are the rates. We could drop to 5 if we were looking at being a little bit more conservative. Always keep in mind that they still always have to respond. It's not like, well, we only have 5, so we can't respond. So this was the letter that I got on July 17th. So we're looking at, we're gonna have some more discussion on the work meeting on that as well. Okay. The next one, did anybody do any checking on the rates for space and rental? Because we can't move forward unless we really know that.
What did Jason get us the dimensions of what they're storing, what square footage it would take to store it? I thought he was gonna look and get us that.
Yeah,
So,
and he's on vacation this
Okay.
week, so,
because we kinda gotta know how many square feet it takes to.
right. So let's see if we can kind of nail that down for our work meeting. The other thing that, when talking with them, the code needed to be changed on the police office door due to the BCA requirements, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So they're very strict on that. They're also going to be changing and bringing in their own computer system to log in to all of their data that they need. So because we only have, now, that code, previously, I had the code, but I am no longer privy to the code because of the BCA. And I said, there's got to be somebody here who has the code, because we still have an evidence room in there filled with things that we have to continue to move out. Therefore, the new city administrator will have access to that code. And she will be the only one other than the sheriff's department. So it's so secure that the other day the deputy couldn't get in. He said, well, I can't get in, so I guess I'm gonna have to go eat lunch someplace else. So, but we'll keep working on that. So with that being said, when we're kind of locked out of our own our own office and they're bringing in their own computers and they want a desk moved out. We do seriously, it's called value added, so let's try to put something together. I'm gonna check with the other cities and see what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they will rent that facility from us now, or?
Well,
That's what we have to figure
we'll
out.
have to figure that out. They definitely said that they will lease the space in the garage, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't. They
Well, that's what I'm saying.
like it here.
Yeah.
Okay. And keep in mind, we also have a probation officer that uses our conference room once a month, all day, for people, individuals who have to come in and check in.
Oh, really?
So again, we're being very generous and gracious with our facilities, but those have value too. Yeah. All right, next I just included this month's bill from the sheriff's department and the calls. I think it's always good to kind of look at that.
It's only one page.
For the calls.
Yeah.
Yep. You know,
It must not have been busy from the 9th to the 30th.
you know, if you go out and you look at the other small communities, you're really looking at some of the calls and read their weekly reports or their monthly reports. The other cities have quite a bit. It's like sometimes we're not even mentioned, and I'm like, that's really a testament to our small town. I mean, we really,
There isn't much.
we don't have a lot of issues that go on. I mean, and they are here, and they're always in the area. But I still continue to get many, many positive responses. I know it was difficult at first, and I know that there are still people who are a little bit undone about this, but they're here. And they are, even though they're maybe not, doing a call for service, but they're through town and they're here.
Oh, they stopped and got lemonade the other day. That was
They
amazing.
did, and I thought that was
Yes.
awesome. And they are coming to town for National Night Out, so, and seeing that, and they do. They appreciate Goodhue. They said, it is very friendly, and it's a great little community to come in. They like coming here, and they've been very appreciative of how they've been welcomed, so. Yeah, it's gonna go up, but with that being said, and Lisa coming on board, we're gonna really knock at these numbers and see, and really try to pull together, because I don't think we had a really accurate picture when it came to workman's comp, maintenance of vehicles, the money that went in, came out
For a comparison.
for comparison, so we kind of talked about that, so
I think we're way under what we
Oh,
were paying
absolutely.
before.
yeah,
I
and
mean,
Just
Wait.
retirement.
I mean, even if we would, as much as I like the police department, I'm not knocking that at all. But, they were here for 8 hours a day, that was their shift. We're doing 6 hours now, but they're here 24 hours, we still have 24-hour coverage.
yes,
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Just like we did before. It's just, the only difference was that somebody responded from their home. So,
right,
I'm happy with what they're doing, like I said, I mean, they stopped and supported the little local entrepreneurs with lemonade and cookies
and they do, they really,
I agree with that.
they really like that, so,
And if you guys, if you know anybody that's out there that, is seeing stuff like this and, take pictures of it, because I know, John is very appreciative of that, to show the community that, the deputies and their community engagement. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
yeah, it has. It's been a little bit of an adjustment, but overall, people are, they're pleased with it, so. All right, let's see, any council comments? Thought I'd leave it in from the last one. You were so excited to see it.
Yeah, I was planning on having something too.
You planning on having something. Darn. Okay, anything?
I think we need to revisit, at the work meeting, I think we need to revisit that room over there and the items that are in that room
Yes.
and what needs to happen, because that should not be put solely on Lisa.
No.
The items that are in that room that we either need to find new homes for, and if there's evidence in there, I thought all the evidence.
There is no evidence. The evidence has all been taken by.
So it's just equipment.
Yeah, and really what's in there is some of the things when I went in, there were things that Jason and Todd could use out in the shop.
Okay.
So it was like, well, we could use that. It was like, take it. The biggest thing is the ammunition and the guns and the gun safe.
Yes.
So, and that would probably be best in my conversations that I've had is to have somebody take them to an auction house and dispose of them that way. So then we know they've done it properly and they've been disposed of that way, so.
Or, you know, not necessarily an auction house, but
Yeah.
you take it to a dealer that is willing to do consignment. So it's still doing the correct background check, the correct 4473s to determine that, you know,
Yeah.
rightful owner versus.
And there are places that will help us, and even Goodhue County gave some names before about what we have. There are a lot of things that just need to be destroyed. So like shirts and patches and things like that, those. So other than that, there were a couple shirts that Saw wore, their big police officer, and they couldn't find any shirts big enough, so they said, gosh, in the interim for Zimbrota, do you have any of his shirts left? It was like, why wouldn't we? Because they could, we got the patches off, they could put Zimbrota on. It was like, absolutely, because he's a big guy. So just a few things, but we'll get back in there and kind of go through that, so.
Is Goodhue County interested in any of it?
No,
No.
they are not. No, unless they've changed their mind, but they've taken everything that they thought they would. Okay? All right. Oh, there were, so permission needed, there were some t-shirts in there that, you know, Josh had gotten at some point free, and it says live generously, and I thought we should get those out, and they could maybe give those away on National Night Out. There's a bunch of just nice t-shirts, and they could hand them out. So is that okay?
Sure.
There's something.
And even if there's patches in there, the patches are not a controlled item.
Mhm.
But even, you know, there's so many people that collect patches in the world today that maybe even issue that out and, you know, as a memento of history of Goodhue, you know, hand it out at National Night Out, just the patches.
Mhm.
You know, because you can buy those Zimbrota patches, I know. I mean, it's just something to think about.
Yeah, because Pine Island had contacted it and said, could we get a couple
Yep, absolutely.
of those? And I said, you know, I'm sure that's doable. So yeah, we can work
A
on
lot of
that.
agencies will do that. They'll reach out to, like I just sent, I think 27 letters out for my work to get patches because we have a massive wall in our work, so.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds great. Okay, good. Mayor comments? Anybody else, council? No? Okay, I don't have anything either. I know you find that surprising, people. So, on the other, I had talked to you about the this SEMSHA grant. So what that is that's kind of that redevelopment money. And that was money that is in a grant. Well, it wasn't spent. So we can carry that over into 2025. So what that simply means is that we can extend that grant. So that's what they're just asking us to do, extend it and continue to use that money. So, because the money's still there and it wasn't all given out.
How much is that?
That's where they send the little cards around it. Okay.
So we don't need a resolution on it, we just need a motion to extend the SEMCHA grant into 2025.
So
Did it say how much was left?
Oh, yeah, there's quite a bit here. So it
This is the one that is for the homeowners to apply and they
Yeah.
get.
There's still $528,420. So the difficult thing about this one is, if I'm correct, that there's kind of some income guidelines,
Yes,
and
yeah.
plus you need to commit to staying in the home for 10 years.
You have to
And
live
that's
there.
what's hard for people, they're not willing to commit. So it's like, well, here it is, so we can extend it, so.
Well, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried.
Yeah, it is a really good program.
Yeah,
It's,
okay, great.
yeah.
Okay, the next one is Resolution 24-12, a resolution of the City of Goodhue Council approving Goodhue Lions to sell raffle tickets and paddle wheel on September 8th. That is for the ATV ride
Yep.
that they do. So Mr. Zignigal came and asked if we could put that on the agenda, so I just need a motion for that.
So I'll motion for that.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. I'm just writing here quick so I don't forget. Okay, and that was Patrice, right?
Yes.
I'll do this now so I don't forget. Okay, next one is New Vera. So at the work meeting, we talked about, and Joe brought up about the boxes, you know, and the incompleteness on homes.
Yep.
And like even on City Hall, we have the old box kind of hanging there, so, and he talked about sending a letter to New Vera. Lori went and talked to New Vera, and so the job is not complete yet. So they're still working on it, and some of those can't be taken off because some of the internet is still supported by that. So they need to finish that. So Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it like, so when are you gonna come and finish it? Did they give us any time frame?
They didn't give us a time frame exactly, just so that it is ongoing, and if there are any complaints, to direct them directly to New Vera, because they'll keep tickets on all the complaints and get working on it.
Sure.
So if you have a resident complain about the box on their side of their house or that it has not been removed, just reiterate to them that that is not a city issue, that is a New Vera
Yes,
issue, and
yes.
we've been advised that please call New Vera. They will make a ticket and register that complaint. And so that's the only way that we're gonna get this resolved. So, okay? So at that
I
point.
was just gonna take my own off, but I'll ask them. I was just gonna.
Yeah,
take
don't-
mine off.
yeah, don't do that.
If you lose all your
Yeah.
internet.
Because if
Oh,
you,
If there's-
the old
if
one,
there's-
the new
yeah.
one's in there, I already got all that, but the old one.
but if
No,
you,
but that, the new one, didn't you
Yeah,
just say
if you-
they're
some of
connected
them are
yet?
still,
Yeah, I'll wait,
so if
I'll
you
talk
cut
and
it,
see, yeah.
and some of those towers still have to remain too, so, okay?
Oh my
Just thought the other day,
gosh.
I
it's
know.
hang on there.
Oh, stop.
Okay, so pickleball courts. So I did send the letter, I gave the letter to Mr. Benda to take to the Lions board on that. I also gave him tonight the copy of the quote for, that Mr. Kiefer had given us. So they have a board meeting on Monday night, okay? So, but in the meantime, we can go ahead and make a motion to approve the bid from CNC to start moving that process.
And I've been communicating with her even tonight.
Good.
And the one thing that she did mention, she was, we just asked if 50% is down, and then we start ordering all the materials and everything.
Okay,
Do you foresee that as being,
well, no, no. We want to get this going.
yeah,
What I'm hearing from the community, you guys, people are so excited about these pickleball courts. So they're excited. They want to see this done. So I think this is a good thing for the community. And they're like, that's a good idea. And Chris, did you just say that you played pickleball for the
Yeah.
first time and you love it, huh?
Other than the dead bird on the court, it was great.
Well, we'll get rid of that.
Oh, Ashley. So
Okay.
what is the total estimate? Because there's one that's 26 and then.
Oh, that was
That's
added on.
all together, then it's
Altogether.
total 39.
Oh, okay.
I had asked them to break it down by what's it gonna cost for the court and what's it gonna cost for everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So prep is 26 on the
So-
court.
Since you know more about this than probably any of us here, the nets, what are they made out of? And will they deteriorate like the current one that is there now? And what's a life expectancy out of that?
I think those nets, tennis nets that you have there have been there for a
Long time.
So the nets that we like plan, I mean, what I would recommend is in the winter, take them
Take
down.
them.
Pull them off,
Yeah, the winter's really what makes it hard now.
Mm.
But otherwise, I mean, we're playing, we plan portable nets that are out all summer long. And we've been using them for probably 3-4 years and we're still using them.
Okay.
So, and the ones that they put up that are permanent are gonna be of a higher quality.
But these are not permanent.
No,
These, okay.
no, these nets will be.
Well, these
The posts are permanent,
Posts
but
are
you can
permanent.
take
Those
the
are
nets down.
permanent.
Yeah, the posts are permanent, the nets we can remove.
Oh, yeah, yes,
Okay.
exactly, yeah,
Right. The fences will be permanent.
yes.
Yes.
So then will the current fence that's there now, will that be removed?
Nope.
That's all
So
in good
it'll be
shape,
a Fence inside of a fence?
yeah.
That's
That's in
what's
good shape.
saving us a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be a fence to divide the courts.
On
Right.
the ends,
On the ends.
just
So-
not in the side, in between them.
Oh,
So you,
okay,
when we walk in there, when you walk through the gate, there's a court here and a court here with the fence that goes in the, or the net that goes in the middle. So will the courts then be like this?
So like when you walk in now, and there's that first tennis court.
Yep.
When you come in, you're gonna have one on this side of the net, the current net,
Okay.
and you're gonna have one on the other side.
Okay, so
And then-
each side, each team that's on each side will now have a whole court.
Two.
There'll
There'll
be
be
four,
four.
there'll
There'll
be
be
four
four
people
courts.
playing there.
Yep, yeah.
Okay. And then the fence is gonna go right where you see the tennis nets now, but will extend all the way across.
To divide them.
Just to get the ends,
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm tracking.
Yeah. So, yeah, please, keep us informed and let us know, and we'll get that so we can get that going, so. You know, and one thought that I had too is when we look at those courts, it might be, you know, when it gets to be winter, since we're really trying to save those courts, maybe locking that fence to keep people out, so, you know,
Well, I noticed that.
save on them.
I noticed that yesterday, like, there's one lock on it right now, like on one side, but it's so rusty that I'm like, well, why is this not open?
Yeah.
But now when it
And
comes
we'll-
time to
We'll
adding
fix that.
the 4 courts in there, we probably should remove that lock on that other side, so you're not kind of walking by some more areas.
Yeah. And they'll lay that out and kind of let us know, so.
And-
Okay.
And they'll give us designs that we'll share with you when we get closer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So, did we make the motion? Did we accept?
We did not.
We did not. Could I get a motion to accept the the quote from CC?
I'll make a motion to accept the C and C courts.
Quote.
Quote.
Second? All those in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Excellent.
don't think I've been this excited since Christmas.
I know. Well, everybody will be excited.
didn't-
Yeah, everybody's
I
really
didn't even
excited
know-
about these.
I didn't even know what the hype was. I'm like, dude, this. Then I got out there and I'm like,
Oh, I mean, nobody, those courts were dormant, nobody's, there was nothing there.
well, I started looking at brackets, I'm like, dude, this is $100.
Well, did you see Pine Island, you know where Pine Islands are?
Mhm.
So they're redoing them right now because they used the wrong paint and everything probably 2 years ago. So they just got it back. So right now, they're doing all the work and repainting it. And so these courts, wherever you saw the cracks, before they do anything, those are getting sealed, getting filled in. And then once it's level, then they'll start putting the paint. Because it's the kind of paint that's got grit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it.
That's good.
One other thing before we get into paying the bills, I just wanted to share with you, yesterday, the MS bike tram came through town. There was 300 bikers. The first one got here about 6:30, so they were there. We were down here setting up and helping them unload the trucks in the park, and it was really fun, really fun. Just to be there talking with all the bikers, and just kind of visiting with them, and how they got started and when they started. Some of these people have been doing this for 30 years. There was a gentleman there who said, I have raised over $200,000 for MS. It was great to see Deb Notke input there. They came to cheer on Heather, their daughter, who rides all the time in honor of her dad and raise this money. So they were there as well. So, but it was a great morning. So I encouraged them. I said, please come again. They said, this is a great little town and this is a great rest stop. And I said, well, they do camp. And I said, if you're ever here and you want to start, I said, there's more than enough room to set your tents up and camp here too. So, but they were very appreciative of that and encouraging them. So it was really fun. They were all gone by 10 o'clock, so we had them all cleaned up and they were gone. But it was very good, very good. Okay. So next, motion to pay the bills.
So one of the things on here, on page 1, 7/24/2024, that would be today, says mattress disposal. Was there a mattress laying in a ditch somewhere?
It was being, I remember it being drug around by somebody and the sheriff told me to park it.
At Volks Fest.
Parking it
Oh,
behind their
Yep.
building. And it got rained on for a while, so they decided.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Jeez.
Disposal, LMC clerk.
Mattress rack.
Okay. Oh, so these are, it's a combination of things.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, holy buckets, that's a lot
yeah,
of
'cause that
disposal.
was
Yeah,
Lori's
training.
clerk training and.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So again,
I will make a motion to pay the bills.
I get a second.
I haven't seen it. Rid of it.
that was an interest on the bonds, okay, that's what that was, yeah.
So we did get, also, you're looking at the bills, but then, Lisa always, she has the cash control statement that
Yeah.
has everything.
I was looking for that big one we were supposed to be getting, is that, I thought this was about 77,000 that was supposed to be coming in, but it's, we had something coming in.
Well, this
that was
is
gonna
the
make a
end
big
of,
difference.
this is last month, and then July 1,
Okay,
we
that's-
would have gotten our LGA. So you'll
yeah.
see that
Okay.
next time.
The taxes.
Yep, okay, that's what I didn't see none of
Okay.
that, because that, okay.
All right. So Chris made the motion to pay the bills, so we're just waiting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried to pay the bills. Okay, and we'll pass this down to Chris, or Patrice, you want to sign that?
Okay.
So, any questions on any of the cash and how? Oh, we're doing good. We're staying over $2 million.
Yeah.
So we're doing good.
Yeah, we're in the, it's been
Yeah, we're doing good.
consistent.
It's going consistent, so.
What did we ever do up here at the pool for the concessions? They were working out of just an old plastic box or something. Did we ever? Thinking about putting a cafe?
So
They're working on
we ended up getting a cash box,
Okay.
brought it up there, and then they found,
Oh, good.
they found another one. So they are using a cash box up there. The little pool update is that we chose to get water and Gatorade. That is not selling at all.
Oh, really?
So we will
Really?
do that again.
Huh.
So, you know, and then we'll discuss that more at the work meeting, what we wanna do. If it's not selling and we have it, we'll figure out where it's
Yeah.
at.
Absolutely.
I have ideas, but
Yeah.
it's
So-
just not.
Right.
Yeah, well, something's kind of.
Yeah, so we can talk about that. We should talk about that at the work meeting, so bring that up. So how we can kind of, you know, recoup that money on that. So, the last thing that I just wanted to include, this was from Minnesota. Remember when we had our PNP election in March? And so the forms came back that those would be reimbursable dollars. So we finally did get for the election. So I'm hoping that maybe that will happen again. I don't know. They never know.
You
And
don't know,
they will
right?
never,
Yeah.
we're not gonna know until it actually happens. So we do have,
That did help for the first one, though. I mean, it's-
yeah, so, and we also have one, you know, we have election coming up on August 13th, primary. So we're working on getting the workers and scheduling and getting everybody trained. So we'll be following up and calling, making sure that they all have their training. So getting that done. So with that being said, could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.